Alon, Wasalon, you're with the Nasty Pastor, and I'm back with another read from Stolen Legacy. You know, this book will create something. If you buckle down and you read this, it will create something, a force to be reckoned with. I tell you that one, a force to be FORSC. You got what I'm saying, to be reckoned with. And I'm telling you, it's a good read. You feel me? It's a very good read. It's a very good insight into what we contributed to the world before Christ. You feel me? Before Christ. You get it? So I say this to you once again, you know what I mean? Buckle down. You know, life is serious. Life can be a playground. You get what I'm saying? It can be a playground, but it's also serious. And to bring a child into this world, you know, we must nurture that child. We must defend that child. We must be able to instill our righteousness within that child. You feel what I'm saying? It's easy to mold a child to do wrong. It's very easy to mold a child to do wrong. If you put that child in a messed up situation, that child don't know how to get out of it. You feel what I'm saying? It's very easy to mold that child into thinking that this unrighteous living is right. It's so right. And that child will go on through their whole life cycle feeling that they're right because this is what they've been taught from birth and they don't know no other way. They don't know no other way and they don't want to do it no other way. Yes, they can be reprogrammed. Yes, they can be reprogrammed, but you have to find that one, that two, or that five that's willing to allow you to program them, willing to go through the struggle again because they know at the end of this rainbow there's something wonderful waiting for them. Look, let's get into this chapter. Read. And I believe, to be honest with you, one, two, three. I believe this will be the last part of chapter 6. I need you to say it with me. Thank you. Say it with me. Thank you. Let's get up out chapter 6. You got what I'm saying? We've been in here for a while. We've been in chapter 6 for a while. But chapter 6 starts off with the lack of uniformity between the list of books points to doubtful authorship. Number one, there are at least 3 lists of books. One list is said to be Aristotle's own classification of his writings, and naturally it must be dated within the period of his own lifetime. That is 384 to 322 BC. In this list, Aristotle has told the world that he wrote texts on mathematics, physics, and theology, B, ethics, economics, and politics, and C, poetry, art, and rhetoric. You know what I mean? This are all the things we learn in school. All the things you learn in school. You feel what I'm saying? So this was a teacher. This was someone they took their kids to teach. You feel what I'm saying? And where did their teachings come from? Where did their knowledge come from? Out of Kemet. Come on, man. Out of Kemet. You feel me? And we how to put this? We were denied education. Yeah, denied education. And I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm an example. I told you, school got to the point it wasn't interesting to me no more. No more. Just won't. Yeah, I dropped out. Yes, I did. I dropped out. But do I want that for my babies? No. I got 3 babies with their education. You got what I'm saying? And if we want to get into my spiritual kids, you got what I'm saying? I have 7 babies with their education. On paper. You feel what I'm saying? On paper. You know, as the world of today needed on paper. So what that tells you about me, I'm not going to allow that mistake to keep carrying on. There are some people that do. There are some people that say, nah, forget the education. I don't have one. Look how far I got. You got what I'm saying? I never said that to them. I've always been very adamant about them getting their education. You feel what I'm saying? Let's go and keep reading. Now, in order to write these texts, one must have received his education and training in the subjects of which they are written. We are told in the history of Greek philosophy that Socrates taught Plato and that Plato taught Aristotle. But there is no evidence that Socrates ever taught mathematics or economics or politics. Consequently, it was impossible for him to teach Plato these subjects, and also impossible for Plato to teach Aristotle. These subjects under the Egyptian mystery system, which was graded and which required proof of efficiency before promotion. We are therefore unable to accept the claim of Aristotle to have been the author of those books. Two lists are derived from different sources, and the two together differ widely in number, subject matter, and date. The list of Hermippus, the Alexandrian, contains 400 books. The list compiled of Ptolemy between 1st to 2nd centuries AD contain 1,000 books. The very fact that there is no uniformity in the list points to a doubtful authorship. Also, if Aristotle in 200 BC had only 400 books, by what miracle did they increase to 1,000 in the 2nd century AD, or was it forgery? Come on now, was it forgery? Yeah, they went over Egypt and got them. Remember, they looted the library. Remember when the war came with Cleopatra? I don't know if this is really in the times of Cleopatra, because I don't have the I'm not gonna call them notes, but I don't have nothing that I could refer to right now, and I'm not gonna take up all that time. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just not gonna do that. But remember, the library was burned down. You got what I'm saying? Remember, it told us in a reading in a little bit before this part that the library was looted before. They stole books from the Egyptians. You feel what I'm saying? So I say this to you once again: aren't we a interesting group of people? A group of a culture. You understand what I'm saying? Very interesting. See the discrepancies and doubts in his life. He wastes 20 years as a pupil under Plato. It is said that he went to Plato at the age of 19 and spent 20 years with him as a pupil. But this is doubtful and unreasonable. Doubtful because Plato is regarded as a philosopher with Aristotle as a scientist who has been credited with all the scientific knowledge of the ancient world. And it is impossible for a master to teach a pupil what he himself does not know. It is also unreasonable to expect a man who has been credited with Aristotle's knowledge to waste 20 of the best years of his life under a master who was incompetent to teach him. Now you understand why they killed them? Do you understand why they imprisoned all the philosophers back then? Because see, when it came down to where did you get this knowledge from, it led back to where? Kemet. It led back to where? Egypt. It led back to where? Africa. Alright, the truth of how he got such a large number of books is misrepresented. He is said to have received financial aid from Alexander the Great and was able to purchase a large number of books in order to advance his studies. If you've been keeping up with this reading right here, Stolen Legacy, remember we talked about early on when we got into the philosophers. But this sounds more like a fable than the truth. For up to the time of Aristotle, Greek education was represented by the sophists, who taught rhetoric and dialectics. While the study of elementary science was confined to a few unknown philosophers, this was the standard of Greek education, for the sophists were the only authorized teachers. Yet Aristotle is credited with producing 1,000 different books dealing with all branches of scientific knowledge of antiquity. Certainly he could not have obtained them from the Greeks, for that vast body of knowledge which bears his name and which was presented as new would really have been a traditional common possession of all who were members of the Greek schools of philosophy, for they would have been the only persons inside Greece permitted to own such books, for knowledge was protected as secret. You get it? You understand that, man? Knowledge was protected as secret. That's something that people just didn't want you to have. Even back then, they didn't want you to have your knowledge. You feel what I'm saying? Terrible, right? Terrible, man. Terrible. Under these circumstances, it is evident that the vast body of scientific knowledge ascribed to Aristotle was neither in the possession of the Greeks of his time, nor was there anyone in Greece competent to teach him science, and least of all on so vast a scale. Now the next part, this will be this is the next part. It should be taking us about to chapter 6. He got the title, he got the books of Luton, the Library of Alexandria. Now you know there's an Alexandria in Kemet, you know that part where the library at, that's what they call it, Alexandria. I just explained it to you at the, the opening of this, the library was looted. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where they kept all the knowledge, the wisdom, the history. You feel what I'm saying? They kept it all right there. That's why I said when Cleopatra said to, who was that? Caesar? Or that was, I think it was Caesar. Or it was Mark Antony, that she has no knowledge of who built the Sphinx. It was in the library who built it. It was, you got what I'm saying? And that lets me know Cleopatra must never went in that library and read nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Which means she might not have knew the language, which means that the kingdom was divided and they was not going to teach her anything. You get what I'm saying? Which means that she was placed there. You get what I'm saying? Was placed there to do what? Learn a little bit more of how to get inside and conquer for, you get what I'm saying? For once and all. The question must now be asked, how did Aristotle, a single individual, come to possess such a vast number of scientific works, a body of knowledge which took the ancient world 5,000 years or more to accumulate? It is evident that Aristotle's fame as a scholar has been grossly exaggerated, for such an accomplishment would have been both a physical and mental impossibility. Throughout the intellectual advancement of man, the world has witnessed many a genius, but those have always been specialists in particular fields, not specialists in every branch of science. And the modern world is no exception, for our great men of science are not specialists in every branch of science, but only in a particular one that appears to be nature's way. As a matter of fact, the many discrepancies and doubts in the life and activities of Aristotle led us to the only reasonable solution of the problem, that instead of the tales that Alexander the Great gave him money to buy books, that he spent 20 years of his life as a pupil with Plato, and that he left the palace of Alexander for Athens when Alexander started on his Egyptian invasion. He, on the contrary, must have spent a large part of those 20 years under the tutorship of the Egyptian priests, and also have accompanied Alexander on the Egyptian invasion, which gave him the opportunity not only to carry away from the Alexandrian library the vast number of books which are now said to be his, but also to copy notes from a large number of volumes. Indeed, modern scholarship has shown that the writings of Aristotle bear all the marks of hurriedly copied notes, which of course suggests that Aristotle himself copied these notes from the books of the Alexandrian library. The historical account of Aristotle's life is incredible. You get that? Sent to me earlier, right? Come on, go with me because I need you to get that and get up out there. You get what I'm saying? Even if we don't win, I need you to get in there, get that, and get up out there, right? Come on, man. Let's get into this last part and we'll be out to chapter 6. The title is, It Was a Custom of Ancient Armies to Capture Books as Valuable War Booty. You get it? Like I said, the most valuable treasures wasn't gold, wasn't silver, wasn't even the women. Our women, they were not valuable. The knowledge that was written down was the most valuable treasure before Christ that you could attain with a culture you're going to war with. When a victorious army takes possession of a country, it is customary for special companies to search for and seize war booty, to help themselves to everything that is considered valuable. The Greeks among all the surrounding nations were the most anxious to obtain the valuable secrets of the Egyptians in the ancient sciences, and it would appear that the greatest opportunity came to them to accomplish their desire when Alexander the Great invaded Egypt. As stated elsewhere, ancient invading armies looted libraries because of the great value attached to books. And temples were also looted not only for books, but also for the gold and silver out of which the gods and ceremonial vessels were made. That's the end of chapter 6. Our next read will be chapter 7, and the title is the curriculum of the Egyptian mystery system. You got what I'm saying? And what I said, they just said, right? And I've just explained to you that this book has been, rewritten. This book have had material added on to it. It wasn't that deep into the philosophers. They didn't mention the philosophers or anything. You got what I'm saying? The original Stolen Legacy book that I came across in 1992, you feel what I'm saying, dealt with the money, dealt with the monuments around us, dealt with the money, the monuments, the laws. It's something else I picked up out that book also. It's something else, you know what I mean? But like I said, our legacy, our ways, our way of life, was stolen. You feel what I'm saying? Stolen. And we're lost trying to figure our way. You get me? We're lost trying to figure our way, and we have been lost since the days of the assassination of Malcolm X, the assassination of Martin Luther King, there's some women, you got what I'm saying, the death of Maya Angelou, Shirley Caesar, all these great advocates of the black community, you know what I mean? We're getting more lost. You feel me? I'm not going to downgrade the advocates we have in place right now. I'm just not, because they still do a lot for the black community. You understand what I'm saying? But it's so much that they can do if you're not going to listen. If you're not going to listen to the valuable knowledge that they are giving you, and you're not going to put into actions to it, what can they do? They can't do but so much. And see, I live by that motto, if you could save one person, you can reach the kingdom of heaven. You understand what I'm saying? It may not be meant for you to save a multitude. It may be meant for you to save that one life, so that one life can go on to save others. Others can go on to save a multitude. Look, you've been with the Nasty Pastor. We just wrapped up chapter 6 of Stolen Legacy. I love you, and I'm out.